Hello and welcome back to Seaside Garage. Today I'm going to do some work on the Renault 5 GT Turbo. I got this car around 2 years ago. Back then it was a non-runner. The engine was completely toast. One of the pistons actually had cracked. So I rebuilt that engine and got it through the MOT. And then, unfortunately I sold it, as I very often end up doing. But lucky for me, I sold it to a very good friend, and therefore I can still borrow it and use it from time to time. And also I can feature some work on it on the channel from time to time because I really like to work on this car. This car is going to an alignment shop next week, and there are two issues. One thing was that the bearing was loose. It was actually tightened up, but I don't like that. So I'm going to change that bearing because I think it's going to go anyway. I already changed it on the other side. Today I'm going to change it on this side. And as you can see, the Austin Princess is no longer in the garage. That is because it's outside. It started raining today, so I thought it would be a good idea to get the car outside. It's very dirty, so all the rain could maybe soften up all that dirt before I wash it. It's already looking a bit more clean. But today it's the bearing. This nut is tight. But I already loosened it up before taking the wheel and lifting the car, because if you don't, then the wheel will just turn. Next up, there are two nuts back here that holds on the caliper. I'm going to take those off. Now the caliper is loose and we should be able to take it off. I'm going to hang it in the coils. Never let it hang in the brake line right here, because it's not meant for that. And you really don't want to damage that. Next up, I'm going to loosen the nut over here, which is holding this steering ball joint on. And to take this off, you can hit it with a hammer on the sides and sometimes it comes loose. If not, then a ball joint splitter is necessary. So sometimes this is enough. It is not today, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to have to change this. I will do that in the next video, I think. Therefore, I'm going to hit it here. I wouldn't do that normally because it damages the thread, but it needs to be changed, so it doesn't matter. So just a tap right there. Should get it out like that. Next up, I want to take this disc off. Next up, it's the big balls right here that needs to be loosened up. Like that. And like that. So now it's disconnected from the shock tower. Next up, it's the lower ball joint. And to remove that, we need to remove this nut. And then everything should be ready to come off, but it can get quite stuck in that lower ball joint because of the way it clamps on it. When doing this part of it, take care not to pull in the drive shaft, because you could actually pull it out of the gearbox and then all the gearbox oil will drain out, making your garage smell very bad. Then sometimes if it doesn't come off by itself, but it does, you can actually use something to open it up slightly in this groove. That is what clamps it together. It wasn't necessary on this one though. We need to get this axle stop, I think it's called, out of here. You could use the press, but normally I just tap that one out if I can. Let's try. Like that. And then I just need to get this outer race off to begin with, like that. Now comes the worst part of doing this. The inner race, of course, needs to get off as well. And I haven't really found a good way to do that. So what I end up normally doing is to use a grinder to grind this area down until it actually cracks open. You need to be careful not to hit the stop in here as well. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. It's just quite boring and time consuming. I think this is me showing you how not to do it, because I really did hit it quite a lot actually. Which I shouldn't have. There must be a better way to do this than the way I do it, other than to be a bit more careful, of course. But I haven't really found a way that really works. And I can't use my press because I can't really get a hold of it on the back side. So it's not working out for me. Like that. Next up, there is a locking ring in here that needs to come out, like so. Then the bearing should be able to be pressed this way down. I'm going to use a hydraulic press because I got one. If you don't, then it's difficult. It's doable by buying some special tools, and it's also actually doable by using a hammer. The chance of damaging stuff is rather high with a hammer, but I have done it several times, but today I'm going to use my hydraulic press. This bearing isn't that old though. I wonder if I actually changed it. Anyway, it's going to be changed anyway because it was loose. Then what I like to do is to put a piece of blanket around it when pressure rises. That. If you don't have a press, you could just take this part of the stop to a local mechanic, and then he can press it out and press a new one in. That will save you a lot of money doing the disassembly yourself. And then it's time to install the new bearing. And it's important that it goes in straight. And I like to use the old bearing to press the new one in. And then to install a new locking ring. What's important when pressing in the bearing is that you press on the outer race when you press this one in. Because if you press on the inner race when pressing the entire bearing in, you will wreck the bearing. Next up, we're going to press this axle stop into the assembly. And when doing that, it's important to press on the inner bearing because it's the inner bearing that this lies in. Therefore, you will have to press on the inner bearing of the bearing when doing this part of it. Like this. And this is it. Now we have a new bearing in this. And in the next video I will change this steering rod because it's no good. I will put this back in. It's just a reversal of what I just showed you. And then this is fixed. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can support me on Patreon if you like my videos. And if you like my videos and don't want to support me on Patreon, it's also very much all right. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.